Welcome to Classes of Mail. Before you listen, you should know that Alan Gigax is not in any sense an official spokesman for the post office, the NALC, or anybody else. His opinions are inherently his own and should probably be disregarded. Same for his guests. Any information you hear on this podcast could be wrong and should not be relied upon for any reason. Enjoy the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Classes of Mail. I think we have our video presentation pretty much figured out at this point. My name is Alan Gigax.
My name is Michael Brazeley.
Yeah, buddy, and we're doing it.
Yeah.
All right, so today we have a kind of controversial topic, but it's one that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. And, you know, the big issue was just getting the facts together and making sure that we don't go off half-cocked and say a bunch of dumb shit, because that doesn't help anybody.
Right.
So
we wanted to get as
accurate as we could, as much information as we could. Yeah, that's exactly right. And like, this will come up a little bit later, but there's like presidential rulings that I'm going to refer to. And I decided for an episode this important, I don't want to just say, oh, there was a presidential ruling. I want to say what the ruling actually was, you know, and be able to quote from it. Okay, so, you know, I can see on the Zoom that you're more centered than I am. Can you move your mic just a little bit to the right? And I will move mine just a little bit to the right. There we go. Yeah, forgive the microphone noise, listeners.
We're still in.
Yeah, we're still a bit of a work in progress. All right, cool. That's good. All right. And I noticed last time, like, I was kind of in front of you, so it was hard for us to talk to each other. But now I think
just a little bit more.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's close enough. Yeah. All right, good deal.
We're on bump shoulders, I guess.
Okay, so let's get to the episode. And I want to open the episode with a quote, and then we'll give context a little bit later. Quote, "The charges in this case fail to meet this threshold requirement. They are based solely on statements made in a post-election appeal. To allow for union discipline in this context would chill members from exercising their rights under the Constitution and NALC election regulations." And that was written, end quote, that was written by James Henry. And
for our appeal.
No, that was not for our appeal. No, but boy, the themes are real familiar, and that's going to be part of this episode.
Right.
So we're going to come back to this quote. I will give more context. And we're going to dive deeper into why it's important. I'm going to read it one more time right now because we're going to keep coming back to it. Quote, "The charges in this case fail to meet this threshold requirement. They are based solely on statements made in a post-election appeal. To allow for union discipline in this context would chill members from exercising their rights under the Constitution and NALC regulations." And yet, end quote, James Henry. That chilling effect is one of the primary arguments that we made in our defense when we were charged with defamation, right? With things that we said in our election appeal and issues that we brought up in the election.
Yes.
And you and I got charged. So the charges against Michael and me, again, they stem from us complaining about the conduct of our branch's election.
Yes.
And Michael, our complaints, were they founded in reality? Like the things that we were complaining about, were they real? Were they real issues?
Yeah, well, they were very real issues.
Yes, they were. They were real.
Yes.
And so, you know, there's always the argument that the truth is the ultimate defense. But the question becomes, like, what if the complaints weren't valid? Right? What if we thought there was wrongdoing in our election, but we wound up being mistaken?
But see, here's the thing. That shouldn't matter. Even if we lied, it doesn't matter. Okay?
Well, if we lied, that's a little bit different from just being mistaken or having not all of our complaints sustained. Right? These things are a little bit different.
Right. If we were lying, I think if we, you know, it might be a little bit different, but it still protects us from LMRDA and our Constitution.
Yeah, and in fact, that's somehow you're not able to get as close to the microphone. I'm not sure.
No, it's because I was trying to put my foot on that thing.
Oh, maybe that's it. Okay. All right. So there is more from the passages quoted above, and I'm going to read that now.
Yeah, I'm going to want to read the actual rules from LMRDA and
yeah, dude, if you can
and
pull
the
them up, yeah, go ahead.
I already have it set.
Oh, cool.
Whenever you're ready.
All right, so, quote, the Committee on Appeals is sensitive to the branch's frustration. The record reveals that Sister Thompson, more on her in a minute, the record reveals that Sister Thompson has made a number of complaints against branch members and officers in connection with the conduct of the last branch election, and it appears that none of her complaints have been substantiated. Nonetheless, we have concluded that Sister Thompson's present appeal must be sustained. End quote from James Henry and the Committee on Appeals. So, again, we'll get into the context under which this appeal was filed. I mean, just to give it a little context, Mari Thompson was charged under Article 10 over the content of her election appeal. And it was overturned. But those charges were overturned by the Committee on Appeals.
So
and this is the basis. Yeah.
This is from previous election.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a minute because the plot really thickens at that point. Yeah. So
that's what the appeal was from, the previous election, not the last one.
well, no, yeah,
Right?
hold on, yeah, and we will get to that. That is going to be big later. So it appears that members have a right to appeal the conduct of an election, and they are protected whether their complaints are proved out or not. They're protected in either case against discipline for exercising that right.
Yes.
So go ahead, read what you wanted
Yeah.
to read now from the LMRDA.
Yeah.
I will fill while you get to it.
Yeah, LMRDA.
Okay, here he goes.
Hold on, let me...
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
So the LMRDA, this is from LMRDA,
The Labor Management Reporting and Disclosure Act.
Yeah,
this is
from the Bill
this
of
is
Rights,
law.
Section 101,
Yep.
point 2, okay?
Yep.
Freedom of speech and assembly. Every member of any labor organization shall have the right to meet and assemble freely with other members and to express any views, arguments, or opinions, and to express at meetings.
Sorry, Michael. Did you say any views?
Yeah, any
Oh,
views.
how about that?
Yeah. So arguments or opinions.
Yeah, or
Okay.
opinions. Yes.
Okay. And to express at meetings of the labor organization his views upon candidates in an election of the labor organization or upon any business properly before the meeting. Okay.
Yeah. There you go.
Subject to the organization established and reasonable rules pertain to the conduct of meetings, provided that nothing herein shall be construed to impair the right of a labor organization to adopt and enforce reasonable rules as to the responsibility of every member towards the organization as an institution and to his refraining from conduct that would interfere with the performance of its legal contractual obligation.
Yeah, dude. That
Okay. And
that's pretty clear. That
yep.
that gives broad freedom of speech and assembly.
Right. And then number 5, safeguards against improper disciplinary action.
Yep.
Okay. No member of any labor organization may be fined, suspended, expelled, or otherwise disciplined except for non-payment of dues by such organization or by any officer thereof unless such member has been served with a written specific charges, given a reasonable time to prepare his defense, and afford a full and fair hearing. Okay, any provision of the Constitution and bylaws of any labor organization which is inconsistent with the provisions of this section shall be of no force or effect. Okay?
Yeah. So this, our own union rules, our own Constitution is largely based on these laws.
Right.
That the laws we have to abide by these laws. And so the laws need to make their way into our Constitution.
Since he was talking about the Constitution,
Yeah.
I have that too.
I do too. I think we're going to read the same. We are. We're looking at the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got a lot more things to
All
read.
right,
So
yeah,
let me
go ahead,
finish
go
reading
ahead.
this part. Because this part I want to read just because you said that you couldn't find it.
And it was down for a little while, but it's back up, and they changed it slightly, but the change is immaterial. Go ahead.
Where it says the union administration, union member rights, and officer responsibilities under the LMRDA.
Right. And again, this is on the NALC.org website.
Yes,
Under Nicole Ryan's page.
Was it? I
It
don't
is.
remember.
It's under
But it's on there.
Recording secretary, secretary
So
treasurer. Go ahead.
It says the Labor Management Reporting and Disclosure Act guarantees certain rights to union members and imposes certain responsibilities on union officers. The Office of Labor Management Standards enforces many LMRDA provisions, while other provisions, such as Bill of Rights,
Yep.
may only be enforced by union members through private suits in federal court.
Yeah, there you
So
go.
like defamation will be federal court.
Yeah. Well, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, so this is the Bill of Rights of our union member.
Right.
Union members have equal rights to participate in union activities, freedom of speech and assembly,
Yeah. How about that?
voice in setting rates of dues, fees, and assessments. Okay. I think that's what I had here.
Yep. And safeguards
against improper
There you
discipline.
go. Yes,
There you go.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the rights that are afforded to us, the broad protections on free speech, are mirrored in the NALC's own policy.
Right.
Right. And it goes further because a little bit further down from that, it says that there is a prohibition against certain discipline, which also mirrors the LMRDA. A union or any of its officials may not fine, expel, or otherwise discipline a member for exercising any LMRDA right, such as a right to free speech, such as a right to protest actions, such as a right to speak against officers.
Exactly.
All of those are protected rights under the LMRDA.
Okay. So now we read that. So
Yeah.
Alan, here's my biggest question.
Okay.
Because you said our member Thompson has been, charged, and they got thrown out.
We're going to get into these charges.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I really don't want you to skip ahead because I like that to be kind of a bombshell at the end. Fuck it. Go ahead.
My question is,
Yeah.
I mean, where's the accountability when they keep doing it over
Dude,
and over and
well,
over?
we're going to get to that.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's
All
go.
right. Now, I'm going to steer for a little while. So, Michael, you and I became very familiar with these rules when we got railroaded
Yes.
in our own branch. And, we had to look up the LMRDA. We had to look up the Member Bill of Rights. We had to look up all these own policies because our rights were violated within our own branch. But it's not our railroading that we're here to talk about. That's just for context because this is happening in Branch 70. And it's worth talking about. I know some other people have talked about, gotten really upset about what's going on in Branch 70, and you and I are upset.
Well, Branch 70
about what's
is
going on. Yeah.
Highlighted, but I know that it's happening to other branches too.
It is. This is not isolated to Branch 70. We know it also happened to Branch 2502, which is our branch here in Las Vegas.
Exactly.
And it's happening other places. There's like three
yeah.
different places in California where it's happening right now.
Yeah, and I think I've heard something happen in New York. And
Yeah, so
I
it's-
thought there was another one, but I can't remember.
I think
These
maybe Utah. Regardless,
Yeah.
right? This is not isolated,
Yeah.
but this is of particular importance because of the role that the branch president, Ricardo Guzman, plays in the concerned letter carriers, which
Right.
we'll talk about later. All right, so in Branch 70, there are three primary players here that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to say their names because it gets too complicated not saying them. And
because it's known through all the media.
right. This is not
Yeah,
secret.
yeah.
Yes. So we have three players here: Michael Rivera, Mari Thompson, and Ricardo Guzman. So Michael Rivera is a carrier in Branch 70. He's an activist for change and accountability in the union and in his branch. Ricardo Guzman is the president of Branch 70, has been for a long time, and he's the chair of the concerned letter carriers. And he's been president of that branch I think he's been president for over 20 years, but I'm not positive. Whatever it is, it's been a long time. He's been reelected many times.
Right.
And by all accounts, he's popular within the branch. I mean, he would have to be reelected that many times. He's obviously doing something right to get reelected that many times. All right. And then we have Mari Thompson, who, as far as I can tell, is the primary political opponent of Ricardo Guzman
And steward
within
at
Branch
her-
70. And
right.
she's a steward. Right. Exactly.
At her station.
Yeah, and she's run against him for president more than once. And she has gotten the Department of Labor involved in previous election complaints. But the Department of Labor has investigated, and as was mentioned in that appeal, the resolution of her appeal, that decision, the Department of Labor did not order any rerun elections, right? They found, even if they didn't find her, they didn't necessarily say that her complaints were completely without merit, but it didn't rise to the level to have to rerun the election. If they found something wrong, it wasn't enough to change the outcome of the election, which is their threshold.
Which sounds more like a branch.
Maybe you need to correct
try
these
to
things.
Fix the problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't think I would be speaking out of turn if I were to label Mari Thompson as a pain in the ass. I'm sure she's a pain in the ass in that branch.
So me and Alan, we've talked to some people that's actually from that branch.
Yeah. Okay?
Multiple people.
Right. We don't only talk to Michael Rivera.
Yeah.
We have made an effort to talk to other people from the branch.
Not Mari.
And it's worth saying right now.
We talked to other people from Branch 7.
And I reached out in anticipation of this episode. I reached out to Ricardo Guzman, and he did not respond.
Right.
But I did attempt to talk to him and get his side of the story.
We also attempted to try to get the election committee, one of the persons, to come and talk to us. But
they also have declined, or at least did not respond.
Right.
So she's a pain in the ass. And I think, kind of like in our branch, you're a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yes.
But being a pain in the ass is not a chargeable offense. All right. So
what's good about being pain in the ass, Alan?
Well, that's how things change. That's how, like our supporter Leslie Hammett likes to say, agitators are how, like in a washing machine, the agitator is how things get clean. Yeah. And so they are important. You can't get clean without an agitator.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to the charges in question.
Okay.
And there was a previous episode about this, that if you want the total breakdown of the charges against Michael Rivera, go back and listen to that episode.
And there's other podcasts.
Yeah, there's other podcasts that covered it as well. Yeah. But I feel like we give it the best, most complete, and most fair treatment.
We try to be as neutral as possible.
Well, yeah, or at least as objective as possible. I wouldn't call myself neutral in this issue, but as objective as possible and fair.
That would be the best.
All right, so in the recent election in Branch 70, Michael Rivera ran for trustee, and he lost that election, and he lost by a considerable margin. And I don't say that just to rub salt in the wound. I say that because I've lost 2 elections, and it was not.
It sucks.
It sucks. Right. I say it because it's relevant to the things that followed.
It sucks because you spend a lot of time and effort and money.
Yeah, and emotional energy and all that stuff. Yeah, that goes into it. Yeah,
and so when you find that something went wrong on the election, that's where you get a little angry.
It is a little frustrating.
Yeah.
So Michael Rivera appealed the conduct of his election. He felt that there were improprieties in the election. And so he's speaking up, because as we have heard from the same person who wrote that decision at the beginning, if you see something wrong and you don't say anything about it and you don't stand up, you are as wrong as the wrong itself. Yeah. That is correct. And so Michael Rivera, taking this invective to heart, stood up.
Yeah. And he has the right to.
And that's right, because under Article 11 of the Constitution for the subordinate and federal branches, and by the way, going forward, I'm just going to refer to it as the Constitution rather than the whole thing. There's a bunch of different constitutions. If I'm referring to a different part, I'll let you know. But generally, when I say Constitution for government of subordinate and federal branches. So anyway, under Article 11, he has the right to file an appeal. And he also has that right, which is basically the identical right, in the rules governing branch election procedures, which going forward I'll just refer to as the election rules. And, this is the right of any person who feels they are aggrieved by the process or whatever.
So, Alan, what did Michael Rivera do that causes such
Well, we're going to get to that.
So
first thing he did was he felt that he had objections that rose to the level of warranting a rerun of the election. And 2 other people felt the same way and also filed appeals to the conduct of the election. And we went over in a previous episode what he felt the misconduct was. And I'm going to tell you right now, most of the stuff that he complained about, I don't think it rises to the level of it would have turned the election and he would have, could have won it but for this. Right? If I was on the Department of Labor, I probably wouldn't order a rerun either. The one issue that he brought up that I thought was really valid was the one about the ballots being sorted and stored in a locker rather than where mail normally goes.
And they're supposed to keep it protected.
Yeah, right. And
that's not protected.
No. And so, but in fairness to the branch, this was done by clerks and they're the ones handling the mail. And there's no evidence that there's evidence that they were sorted, which is already iffy, but there's no evidence that they were tampered with or destroyed or anything like that, right? None that I'm aware of. But that's a valid objection, in my opinion.
It is.
And it's something that I think should be addressed. All right, so he files his appeal to the conduct of the election. And his appeal, and Mari Thompson was one of the other people who wrote an appeal. They were sent to the election committee. That's the first step in the appeal process. And the election committee responded. They responded with one sentence and denied any wrongdoing. And I'm going to quote that sentence because it's not very long. In response, they wrote the same thing to both appeals. In response to your appeal dated November 15th, 2025, regarding the NALC Branch 70 election, we find that no violations took place. That's it. That's the whole response. So they had all these different objections, all these things that they thought were inappropriate, and the whole response was, we find that no violations took place. So none of the specific concerns got addressed in either of those appeals. So questions... I have questions about this.
They didn't answer anything.
Yeah. So, did they deny that the allegations that are in the appeal? Did they say that those things never happened? We don't know.
Yeah.
Because did they acknowledge the allegations but felt like they were acceptable? Like, yes, we did do these things, but they're not wrong. We don't know because they didn't respond.
Right.
And so if I'm Michael Rivera or if I'm Mari Thompson, it's reasonable to assume that my objections were just dismissed and were never even considered and that they were basically ignored. That is a reasonable assumption to make upon getting a response like that.
Yes.
That, again, I'm going to read it again.
No matter if they were paying a yes or not.
Yeah. In response to your appeal dated November 5th, I think Mari's had a different date, but whatever. In response to your appeal dated November 15th, 2025, regarding the NALC Branch 70 election, we find that no violations took place. That's it. And it is a dismissal, dude. It's a complete dismissal. It's a disregarding. And so I think it's reasonable for them to be upset about this reply.
And because if you're upset with the reply, what do you do?
You got to take it to the next step. Exactly. So the next appeal would be to the executive board. Well, this is the executive board of the branch that just won the election. And so based on the history in that branch and the history of executive boards everywhere, they're very unlikely to overturn the results of the election. And so Michael Rivera decides that in addition to appealing to the executive board, that he's also going to publish these appeals to Facebook. And
he didn't publish it.
Yeah, he published the appeals.
Okay.
He published his appeal, Mari's appeal, and the third appeal. I don't even know who that came from or what the content was. But he published them to Facebook. And he wrote on his post that it was, quote, for the sake of transparency, end quote. Now, was it really about transparency? This is my opinion here. I don't think it was. I think that that's a cover for wanting to expose what's going on in the branch because of not getting the satisfaction of actually getting your appeal addressed. Rightly angry, right? And so when people say, Michael Rivera's detractors will say, well, he's not really trying to be transparent. He's just trying to air our dirty laundry. All right, maybe that's true. That's a reasonable interpretation of what he did, but he has the right to do it.
Yes. That's why we read our right.
Right. He has every right to air the grievances, to air the dirty laundry. Yes. I mean, again, this is something that came up in our own branch where the goodest, oldest boy was like, oh, they're just talking about the Classes of Male podcast. They're just trying to air the dirty laundry of the branch. All right, well, then you're acknowledging your branch has dirty laundry. And maybe you should look at cleaning up that laundry.
Right.
With an agitator to help. So not only does he have the right to complain, and to air his grievances, but he also has the right to share the appeals.
Yes.
And he didn't just stop at the LMRDA, Michael Rivera. He got a presidential ruling that confirmed that right. And from that presidential ruling, quote, this is quoting President Brian Renfro. As a general rule, election appeals under Section 21 of the Rules Governing Branch Election Procedures are not confidential documents, end quote. That's pretty clear. He has a right to speak, and he has a right to share these election appeals. They are not confidential.
Yes.
So, to look at the other side, I can see why the people on the election committee have a problem with him publishing the appeals, because he's calling out what he sees as wrongdoing. And clearly,
as the LMRDA rule and our Constitution.
Yeah, give him the absolute right to do.
He has the absolute right to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have the right to be upset about it. They don't, the LMRDA doesn't say you have to like it.
Right.
But it says he has the right to do it. And so if they think that the allegations are untrue, and we know from the charges that they filed that they do think that the allegations in the appeal, specifically in Mari Thompson's appeal, they think those allegations are untrue. So what did they do about it? Yep.
I wanted to add some of the people that we talked to that was from that branch.
Yep.
They said they were very annoyed that she was doing it again.
Right. Mari has a reputation in that branch.
So I heard that there's a lot of members are not happy that she keeps doing it every election. Okay.
Yeah, especially because she's not winning the appeals of the election.
But here's the thing: she has the right to file a complaint because, as you can see, they still are making mistakes. They're not fixing anything.
Well, yeah,
or maybe they did fix it, just didn't fix everything.
Right, they didn't fix everything. Again, she has what she feels are valid complaints, and she has every right to address those complaints. And I'll tell you, if the branch thinks that it's a problem for her to be filing these complaints that wind up essentially being overturned, and so it's a waste of time and effort and money, well, what about when the branch files charges on Mari Thompson again and again, and those charges, those convictions keep getting overturned by National? That is a identical waste of time and effort, except that with her election appeals, nothing really bad happens in between. Nobody's rights are violated. Whereas when she gets suspended from the union, her rights are being violated.
Yes.
And it's happening again and again. All right.
Yeah. From what I hear, it's happened multiple times.
It has. I think it's either 3 or 4 times that it's happened.
Yes.
And every time, according to Mari, and I've seen evidence of at least 3 of these overturnings, they were eventually vacated by National. And so we're going to get more into that. Yeah. All right, but to get back to the charges against Michael Rivera, we saw in the charges, in the episode where I went through the charges line by line, that he's being charged for the content of Mari's appeal. They don't like what was in Mari's appeal, and so they charge Michael Rivera with sharing, with publicly sharing someone else's appeal, which, again, he has a right to do.
Yes.
So what did they do about it? They don't like that.
They charged him.
Yeah, they charged him, right? They could have.
And her.
Yeah. Yes, they did. Yes. They charged them both. So they could have talked to him about it.
Well, there was the third person, too. They charged
I don't
3
think
people?
they charged the third person.
No? Okay. I thought they did.
I don't know.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. That's not.
That one I don't. Yeah.
That's immaterial to what we're talking about here.
Right.
So, the people on the election committee, the branch leadership.
Well, it is immaterial in the fact that if they did,
it's even worse.
That's even worse.
Yes. Then it's 50% worse than it already is. Yeah. Because they add another person. So, if the election committee or branch leadership thought that this is a problem, they could have talked to Michael Rivera about it and said, hey, we know you have these concerns. Let's try to address these concerns. Did they do that?
No.
No, they did not. They could have asked him to take the posts down that he put up on social media if they thought it was a problem and they thought that this violated some rules. Hey, it looks like you're violating the rules. Maybe you should take those posts down. Did they do that?
Well, first of all, for them to do that, they would have to show where they're violating first.
Yeah, which is also what they have to do in the charges.
Yeah.
But the jury for that is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And so did they ask him to take them down?
Never.
No, they never did. They never said, hey, you should. Well, after the fact, they asked him to take them down, but not before they resorted to charges, right? They didn't take steps to remedy what they saw as a problem. They went straight to charges. They went straight to Article 10.
As you know, in our Constitution, that one part about discipline, it says to give them time to try to fix the problem. Also on there.
I don't think that's in Article 10.
No. In the Constitution. On the says the
Under Article 10?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It said on the LMRDA. Maybe it was the
Okay.
LMRDA. Okay, where it says given a reasonable time to prepare for his defense.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
he did get time to prepare for his defense. Article 10, he had the month. And dude, unlike us, like when we got charged with Article 10, the investigating committee never even reached out to us.
Right.
We never had a chance to.
They didn't do a proper investigation.
No, not even a little bit.
Yeah.
In this case, they did at least ask questions. They gave Michael Rivera a chance to ask questions. Mari Thompson, as I understand it, was not granted as much due process, that there were more due process violations in her Article 10 process, but I don't have direct access to that. And so regardless, even if Article 10 was followed properly, which we know it wasn't, it's still not a legitimate charge. All right. So they go to, straight to filing charges against Michael Rivera for the content of Mari's appeal.
And so what charge did they violate?
Well, we go over that they talk about the preamble to the Constitution.
What is a preamble,
and the
everybody?
oath of office.
What's the word? What's the meaning of preamble?
It's before you get to the actual rules.
Rules. This is saying, hey,
Right.
we're doing it because it's like what do you call it in books when you read it? It's like
The forward.
Yeah,
it's like the
forward,
forward or the prologue.
Pre-context, the prologue. Yeah.
All right.
Which is nothing.
Right. So they charge Michael for the content of Mari Thompson's appeal in defense of Ricardo Guzman. They're saying that he defamed Ricardo Guzman by sharing the content of Mari's appeal. So it's secondhand on both sides. If Ricardo felt that he was being defamed, he could have, if he felt that he was aggrieved, he could have brought the charges himself. He didn't.
Right.
If he doesn't feel that he was aggrieved,
He should have been using the federal court and not our union.
well, and if he didn't think that he was aggrieved, he should have said so and said, hey, man, you don't need to file these charges on my behalf. I'm fine.
Yep, right.
I'll be okay. I'm tough. I can handle it. But he didn't do that either.
Yeah. Why didn't he do that?
That's a great question.
He's supposed to be the president and leader.
Yeah. And he's the one who's responsible for making sure that his members' rights aren't violated.
And there were previous settlements of
there were.
appeals.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about those.
So it's not like he didn't know.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So again, if you want the full breakdown of the charges and everything that was in there, that's on a previous episode. So now we're going to fast forward. We go through the Article 10 process of investigating and talking to people and so on. And then we get to the branch meeting where Michael Rivera's charges were actually heard. And the investigating committee comes up, which is consistent with Article 10, and they present their findings. And then this is according to a timeline of events that was provided to me by Michael Rivera. He was taking contemporaneous notes. I'm not 100% positive that this is the way it went down, but I have multiple corroborations that this is the way it went down. And again, people on the other side have been invited to give their side of the story and have not done so. So I believe that this is an accurate representation of how things happened. So the committee goes up there, they give their report, and they suggest, that yes, Michael Rivera should be convicted for these things.
Okay.
And then,
So you and I had this podcast before where I talked about this,
Yeah.
where I said, anytime anybody's being brought up for defamation, most likely they're going to be guilty because, just
they said things that you don't like.
you don't like. So it's automatically going to be something where, but the whole point about defamation is, did they hurt that person?
Right. What's the actual damage? And that's very difficult to prove in court that you were actually materially damaged.
And that's why you shouldn't be using the union for this purposes, because you have the right of freedom of speech.
Yeah, and that was basically in the adjudication of our charges when they went to national. That was basically what they said was like, dude, there is no charge here. There is no crime of defamation. That's not really a thing.
There's no charge as in we didn't break any rules.
Right. Yep. That's exactly right. All right. So the committee, the investigating committee goes up, they give their report, and then at that point, Ricardo Guzman immediately moves for a vote on Michael Rivera's guilt.
Now you and I have talked about this. When
the Article 10 process
comes out, you have about like 15, 20 minutes.
It's not a set time, but you're entitled to a defense. And so Michael Rivera, to his credit, objected.
Right.
And he's like, hey, I'm entitled to give my defense before we vote. This is improper according to Article 10.
Yes.
So let me read you what it says in Article 10.
Yes.
Quote, the charged party, in this case, Michael Rivera, is entitled to defend themselves before the branch. Entitled to defend themselves before the branch immediately before the vote is taken.
Yes.
What do you think the chances are Ricardo Guzman's never heard of that before?
I hear that with many appeals and that Maury has filed. I think he's heard it many times.
Yeah, I bet he's dealt with Article 10 before. And in my opinion, there is essentially zero chance that he didn't know
what the rules were.
What the rules were. That Michael Rivera is entitled to a defense. That, I totally forgot about this basic part of Article 10. Give me a fucking break.
And the secretary too, because secretary is supposed to know these rules.
Well, I mean, the parliamentarian is different in every branch, and ours it happens to be the secretary. But people should know.
They're supposed to know that rule.
Yeah, that's the part of being the chair of your meeting is knowing Article 10.
Right. Because
or knowing
if you have a question
procedure.
about the procedures with your branch, you send a letter to the secretary first.
Well, it should be decided. I mean, ultimately, the president is in charge of that and has to make those decisions.
Well, yeah, but it says
Michael,
to send it to that
I
first.
think it's our branch particularly where the secretary is the parliamentarian, but that's beside the point.
Okay, there should be more than one person.
The point is, there's no way Ricardo Guzman didn't know that Michael was entitled to a defense.
And the whole branch.
Yeah, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, because there was multiple appeals that happened because of Maury to tell me that you don't know anything about these rules.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Dude, and how about just have Article 10 in front of you and fucking refer to it?
Yes.
So
that's, to me, what Michael Rivera should have read that part at least.
Well, I mean, he did adequately, object and say, hey, I'm entitled to a defense. Maybe he read from Article 10. I don't know. Yeah, that's not in the details.
But either way,
But he did wind up getting time to defend himself.
Right. But he didn't get that time.
Yes.
To defend himself.
He did. At
did?
the branch meeting. Yes. He was able to get up and give his speech and tell his side of the story.
I thought you said that he didn't.
No, he did.
Okay.
He did. He got to.
Okay.
All right. So, but the thing that he didn't get was there was also a motion made at this time and seconded to have the vote on Rivera's guilt done by secret ballot. And according to Rivera's timeline of events, which is presently unchallenged, that motion was ruled out of order by the chair of the meeting, Ricardo Guzman.
Yeah. Then why is it out of the order?
That's a great question. I wish I had an answer to that.
Because per Robert's Rules of Order, you have the right to vote, to have a secret ballot that your members have to vote to see if they want it or not.
Yeah, it is a valid method of voting under Robert's Rules. Absolutely. And there's nothing prohibited. And dude, I actually went and found, I don't think I wrote it down in here, but I found a presidential ruling from the NALC president that reiterated that unless your branch has bylaws that specifically prohibit secret ballot voting, it's allowed. It's appropriate to vote by secret ballot if a motion is made.
Like our branch literally says it on our bylaws. It says we'll follow all of the Robert's Rules of Order.
Right.
That's what it says.
Yeah. So it's, he makes a legitimate motion. Or somebody did. I forget who made the motion. It doesn't matter. Somebody made the motion. We're going to vote by secret ballot because we know that there's intimidation. You think there's retaliation in Branch 70? You think there might be? Yeah.
And I know our branch does.
Yeah. And so people have reason to be concerned. Right. And I know we talked to somebody in Branch 70 whose vote was swayed by the public nature of the vote.
Same with ours.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, exactly. So, again, Michael Rivera, to his credit, appeals the decision of the chair to not allow the secret ballot vote.
And
that's his right. Under Article 11, as we have discussed. He has the right to appeal any decision of the president under Article 11. And then it is immediately to be taken to the branch.
Yes.
And the branch will vote on how to, whether to overturn the president's decision. But in this case, that did not happen.
Right.
Michael Rivera's appeal was ignored. And you think this branch has any experience with Article 11 appeals?
It looks like they've had it a few years.
It does seem like it. Yeah. And so what are the chances that branch president Ricardo Guzman doesn't know that appeal is supposed to go in front of the branch? I think it's really fucking unlikely.
Yeah.
Now, there's a chance that maybe he just didn't hear the appeal. We weren't there. We don't have that record. But dude, we already know that the motion to vote by secret ballot is valid.
Yes.
And so this is right in line with somebody just being fucking real.
Now here's where people don't understand. Is that that's supposed to come to a vote to do a secret ballot.
Yeah.
There is a chance that the branch could have voted saying, no, we don't want the secret ballot.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. They can.
Okay.
And they probably would have.
Yeah, because majority of the people that was there was for...
Yeah, they were status quo supporters.
Yeah, for the e-board.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Again, Ricardo Guzman has tight control over this branch. The branch, the people who show up to the meetings generally support whatever he wants to do. And so with that sort of power, you can do whatever you want. And they probably would have voted against
and here's the thing.
secret ballot. Yeah.
Why are they afraid of a secret ballot if they think if they have what they're doing is right?
Yeah.
Why would
maybe
you be
when
afraid
you're
of that?
on the tracks of that railroad, you just keep going down the railroad all the live long day.
Yes.
That's speculation on our part.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, most of this is opinion of what we found.
All right. So
There is
so
no
again,
100% truth of any of this. Just letting
the
everybody know.
motion to do secret ballot is denied. The appeal is ignored. And now we go on to Michael Rivera defending himself. And then after his defense, Article 10 again says, I'm going to reiterate it here, the charged party is entitled to defend themselves before the branch immediately before the vote is taken.
Yes.
Immediately. Now, the Constitution could have said different things. It could have said the charged party can defend themselves at some point before the vote is taken.
Right.
It doesn't say that.
Right.
The Constitution could have left it ambiguous. Plenty of stuff in there is ambiguous.
So, right, but it says
could
right
have
before.
Yeah, it could have said the charged party is entitled to defend themselves. But it doesn't say any of those things. It says immediately before the vote is taken.
Yes.
Should we believe that Ricardo Guzman is unfamiliar with this?
I think he's very familiar with this.
Yeah, I do too.
But I think there's
When you've been
something-
branch president for 20 years or
Yeah.
however long it's been,
Yeah.
you should know this shit.
Yes.
Right? And that's what makes it look from an outside observer like Michael and me like a railroading.
Yes.
Like you don't give a shit about the process. You're here to get that guy.
Yeah.
And he got.
Basically,
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna say like acting like Brian Renfro when he was charged.
Right. So instead of that happening, instead of the Article 10 procedures being followed, Ricardo Guzman himself, according to Michael Rivera's timeline, came down from the chair, vacated the chair, left the chair to his executive vice president, and then spoke against Michael Rivera.
But that doesn't have anything in Article 10 says he can do that.
No, it doesn't. After
Yeah.
Michael Rivera finishes defense, the next thing should be the vote.
Right.
But that didn't happen.
Right. Because
No.
it says before the vote was the defense.
Yeah. And then immediately the vote.
Right.
Yeah. But instead of doing that, Ricardo came down and spoke, and then other people were allowed to speak before the vote was taken.
Okay, and then was Michael Rivera able to talk before the vote?
I don't know. I don't know, actually.
Because in reality, I mean, the rules are he's still able to talk before the vote.
Yeah, in theory, you could give him one last time to get up there. Yeah, seems unlikely. Based on everything else we're seeing, it seems unlikely.
Right.
I don't know for a fact.
Right.
And, you know,
Here's my thinking from what I've seen before is that they're going to say, well, you had your motion to talk and you're done. You can't talk anymore until everybody talks first.
Yeah, that is entirely possible.
That's the Robert's rules they use to go
Yeah,
against,
that's true.
To shut you up.
That is true. That does happen.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, okay, so in fairness, all of this stuff is really academic. And this is why, because he got found guilty by a very wide margin.
Well, it's because, like I said, any defamation is automatically guilty.
Yeah, sure. You said, I mean, he did share the election appeal onto Facebook.
Yeah.
That's not in dispute.
Yeah. So he is guilty in the fact that, he did talk shit about what happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So,
but what's the punishment for using your right?
So here's the thing. I'm of two minds about this. Because number one, all of these violations of due process are academic in the sense that he'd have been found guilty no matter what.
Right.
Because the branch is clearly on one side. They are on the side of their president. And again, dude, it's a credit to Ricardo Guzman that the branch feels that way about him. But on that
But
same,
I'm sorry, but it's also the president's duty to protect all members.
It is, and to oversee. If you're the chair of the meeting, you're supposed to make sure that the meetings go properly. And if you know that you've already got this in the bag, why bother violating Michael Rivera's rights?
Exactly.
What benefit is there? Who benefits from denying the secret ballot, from denying going immediately to the vote? Right
Now, I want to
Why?
interact here just a little bit from a conversation I had with some people from Branch 70.
Okay.
They were not happy because like every election, something like this they go through, and they felt like come on, not again.
Yeah.
Like, come on, not
I
again.
get
But
it.
here's the thing. The feeling shouldn't be involved in this, and the fact that here's a real simple thing that Ricardo Guzman, as a leader, what he should have done. Well, this is he has the right to do this as an appeal, and then we're just going to let him do it.
Yeah.
And be done and over. You guys wouldn't
Right.
have to go through all this nonsense.
Yeah, and then you reject. If you think the appeal is not valid, then you reject the appeal.
Yeah.
And that's that. How much does that cost to
Not
reject the appeal? Not much.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, and here's the thing. Let's say he
Yeah.
keeps an appeal and he goes to the national.
All the way to the convention.
Maybe. Maybe even to the convention. Okay. Well, and they at the convention, let's say they still do follow what Ricardo Guzman did. He can still has the right to go to the LMRDA. Okay?
Yeah.
But that's his right.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Just because he's doing it, don't get butthurt. That seems like the most branch presidents and the e-boards from the when somebody does they get so butthurt, they just want to break the rules of themselves.
So as we knew what happened, Rivera gets found guilty, again by a wide margin.
Yes.
And then is
Suspended.
for 18 months.
Now, if you remember, I read the LMRDA and our Constitution that says they cannot be disciplined for that.
I have it right here.
Yeah.
I put it in my outline right in this spot. Quote, a union or any of its officials may not fine, expel, or otherwise discipline a member for exercising any LMRDA right.
Yep.
End
So that
quote.
is it. Now it's a violation by that branch
Yeah.
to do that because they voted for that.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a violation by Ricardo. It's a violation by the whole branch.
Right. And the
Okay?
people in that branch's leadership are leading them down this primrose path of violating LMRDA rights. And what does this say about them as leaders? It's not complimentary, I'll tell you that.
Okay. And here's the thing. And I mean, I'm going to go a little bit here about the CLC thing.
Okay.
Because he's a chair.
We're going to have to do that in a whole other episode
Okay.
because we're already at 45 minutes.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Because
yeah.
he's a chair. You're a leadership.
Yeah.
And be a leader.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I guess that's his leadership style is to just participate in a railroading of someone exercising their rights.
Who they don't like.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
it.
And that's the problem.
So this suspension of Michael Rivera now prevents him from going to the national convention.
Oh, I want to talk about that. Okay.
I've seen the presidential ruling that Michael Rivera got.
I know, but this is what I want you guys to hear. Okay. This is what I got from Branch 70 from the people that was at that meeting.
Okay.
They were told that he is allowed to go to the general convention and present his resolutions and whatever else. Okay. That is what they told me from Branch 70, that he is allowed to go to the general convention, that he is not expelled from that. Okay, but if you read the
presidential ruling, that is
it's
not
completely
the case.
different, is it?
He is completely suspended
So that
from
means
everything.
he's also lying to his membership.
Well, I mean, maybe they're wrong. It's reasonable to assume this gets to an interesting twist because it's reasonable to assume that if you already had, like Rivera already had charges in progress against Brian Renfro for the shit about the contract. And so it's reasonable to assume, since these charges are already in process, that they should continue.
Yes, that's what I think we've
found. But it turns out, well, the same I don't know if that was said, I don't know where that came from, but I know that in Branch 70, Michael Rivera had charges in process against his branch president, Ricardo Guzman, for failing to protect his LMRDA rights.
Yes.
And so once Michael Rivera is suspended from the union, the next order of business at the meeting is to dismiss the charges because, you're no longer a member in good standing, so you can't bring charges against me. How convenient.
I think we read something where that doesn't go away.
No, well, it turns out that is a valid... So as much as that sounds like shady and bullshit, it turns out that is correct. And here's a presidential ruling, which I looked up, that reads, quote, during the term of a suspension or expulsion, the branch is not required to act on charges previously filed by the suspended or expelled member. However, if the member appeals to the National Committee on Appeals and the committee reverses the suspension or expulsion, the member will have the right to resubmit the charges to the branch.
Yeah, but see, resubmit.
Yeah, you basically got to start over. Yeah, right. And in the meantime, and this may be this is speculation on our part, but I'm sure they're hoping that this problem just goes away until 18 months from now.
Right.
Just like when you and I got suspended. Remember how long they wanted to suspend us for?
Oh, it was 2 years.
No, it was 6 months because...
the whole period of the election
we
time.
were assuming the rerun election would happen during that time, and the suspension would just prevent us from running in the rerun election. How about that?
But thankfully, other people that was there
said, they saw, like,
you're doing
wait
it
a
just
minute.
to get rid of... They can't run the election against you.
And so how
That's
long...
bullshit. Yeah.
Our branch elections, how often are they held?
Every 3 years.
Every 3 years. So that brings us now to Maury Thompson. Yeah. All right. The railroad has run its course against Michael Rivera. The following month, it would run its course, or maybe 2 months, against Maury Thompson. Yeah. So charges are filed against her by the election committee for the content of her appeal. And she was also convicted by the branch. Now, mind you, this is the person who runs against Ricardo Guzman each election.
Right.
And so the next election is going to be in a little under 3 years. So she was suspended for 3 years.
Right.
Which prevents her from running in the next election.
And here's the thing. What are you afraid of if you keep winning?
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'd love to have an opponent as ineffective as that, right?
Yeah,
That's the best opponent you could have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that brings us back, this charge against Maury Thompson brings us back to the quote that opened the episode. And I'm going to read it again. Quote, the charges in this case fail to meet this threshold requirement. They are based solely on statements made in a post-election appeal. To allow for union discipline in this context would chill members from exercising their rights under the Constitution and NALC election regulations. James Henry. Yeah. It's very clear.
So that's very clear that James Henry knows these appeals that's happened before.
Yeah. He made this ruling, right? Along with Nicole Ryan and Larry Brown, the other people on the Committee on Appeals.
So they know these rulings because they've done it already before.
And so this comes from, now here's the rest of the context. This ruling comes from 3 years ago during the previous Branch 70 election when Maury Thompson was charged by Rocky Ocasio for the content of Maury Thompson's appeal. They didn't like the content of her appeal. They felt that it painted the branch in a bad light, and so they charged her under Article 10. And it was overturned by James Henry. So let's give a fair shake. The charges against Maury Thompson, right? I went through and picked out the parts where they actually say what she did wrong. Quote, your false accusations violate the above stated portion of the pledge, which applies to all NALC members, end quote. Your false accusations. These would be the accusations of wrongdoing that are in her election appeal. Quote, in your appeal. Well, that's pretty fucking plain. In your appeal, dated November 17th, 2025, regarding the election process of NALC Branch 70, you made a number of false accusations, end quote. This is plain as day. This is about the content of her election appeal. Quote, your appeal relies on false accusations represented as fact, end quote. I think that's about her appeal. I think it is. Right? I wonder what James Henry thinks about that. And finally, quote, in light of the false and misleading statements submitted by you, statements you have made without having actual firsthand knowledge of and or proof, it is for this reason we are bringing you up on charges in accordance with the NALC Constitution, end quote. So all of these are based on statements that she made in her post-election appeal.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Michael, this is not okay.
Again, I want to bring up the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Okay? And That's why we read what came from LMRDA and what was in the Constitution. Okay, and that is the reason why we keep bringing it up, because no matter Mari or Michael Rivera, no matter how much of a pain in the ass they are, they have the right to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
And then because they're filing an appeal because they don't like what was written on the appeal, and then charging her for it, then you're going beyond that. Okay. And so really the people who's writing these charges, they should be filed charges now, because if you're going to go with the who can file charges, they should be filed charges for breaking those laws.
Dude.
I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah. So I want to read the entirety of the appeal from her successful appeal from 3 years ago, from the last time, because it's instructive. And as union members, let's assume that Ricardo and the other people in that branch leadership are effective at fighting management. Otherwise, they probably wouldn't keep getting reelected. Right? We can assume that, and that in true CLC fashion, they are fighters. So they probably know that if management has already been put on notice that, hey, you can't be doing this, and then they do it again, that is a willful and blatant disregard.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So let's read the last conclusion of the. All right. Here we go. This is the resolution of appeal number 30 of whatever year that was. And it was written to Rocky Ocasio. 2023. In accordance with Article 11, Section 4 of the Constitution of the National Association of Letter Carriers and Article 11 of the Constitution for the Government of Subordinate and Federal Branches, the following are the findings of the Committee on Appeals in the above captioned matter. This appeal concerns the disposition of charges against Mari Thompson, a Branch 70 steward brought by Raquel Rocky Ocasio pursuant to Article 10 of the Constitution for the Government of Subordinate and Federal Branches. On March 9th, 2023, the branch voted to sustain the charges and suspend Sister Thompson from membership for a period of 6 years. As a result of the suspension, the branch removed Sister Thompson from her position as an elected shop steward. The relevant facts may be summarized as follows. At the branch's February 9th, 2023 meeting, charges by Sister Ocasio against Sister Thompson were read. The charges alleged that Sister Thompson... I'm going to stop myself here, because what does James Henry always say? If you see something wrong and you don't speak up about it, you're as wrong as the wrong itself.
Yes.
All right. These charges that we're reading about here were brought by
James
Rocky
Henry.
Ocasio. No, they were brought by Rocky Ocasio.
Right. And
this response was written to Rocky Ocasio.
Right.
She is still in branch leadership in Branch 70. Do you think that she stood up and said, hey, I have firsthand experience that this is wrong and we shouldn't be doing this?
Yes. Because she got that letter.
If anybody
Henry,
knows that this is wrong, it's her. Right. And she is the treasurer of the CLC.
A leader.
Yeah, a leader. Right. She's a lion. Okay. The charges allege that Sister Thompson had violated the NALC Constitution, the Constitution for the Government of Subordinate and Federal Branches, and her oath of office. The charges were based entirely on arguments Sister Thompson had put forth in an appeal. Emphasis added, challenging the outcome of Branch 70's election of officers. Specifically, in her election appeal, Sister Thompson claimed that there was no record confirming that Sister Ocasio had been on leave while campaigning, and that Sister Ocasio had used a grievance folder sleeve to hold campaign material. We just got an Amber Alert. Go ahead and clear that out. All right. Let me read that again. I want to give it a fair shake. Specifically, in her election appeal, Sister Thompson claimed that there was no record confirming that Sister Ocasio had been on leave while campaigning, and that Sister Ocasio had used a grievance file folder sleeve to hold campaign material. I got to tell you, dude, to step back for a second, it's pretty ticky-tack, right? Even if both of those things are true, it's probably not enough to overturn the outcome of an election.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
How many of these officers use our NALC stuff and when they're campaigning?
Right. And how much is that going to affect the outcome of the election?
Exactly.
Hey, dude, I'm not saying that the branch doesn't have a right to be frustrated with Mari Thompson. but we're talking about charges. That's a very different thing.
Right.
All right, so let's go on. The election appeal.
I just want to say is that Mari was elected
as steward.
a steward.
Yeah, that is correct.
So what they're doing is taking the rights of the members and had her station away.
Yeah, that's right. She was duly elected. Okay. The election appeal was ultimately denied by the branch and by the Department of Labor. In the charges at issue in this appeal, Sister Ocasio alleged that the arguments in the election appeal were false and defamatory. Does that sound familiar, dear listeners? Sure sounds familiar to me. All right. An impartial committee... there we go. An impartial committee was appointed to investigate the charges against Sister Thompson. It held a fact-finding session on March 7th, 2023, which Sister Thompson did not attend. She had talked to me about that and said that like she wasn't able to go that day. She tried to reschedule, whatever. It's immaterial here.
It is when you schedule a time where she can't do it.
Right.
You should at least make the effort to reschedule.
I don't want to adjudicate that matter because that's not what's at issue here. The important thing is the committee recommended that the charges against Sister Thompson be sustained. At the branch membership meeting on March 9th, 2023, the branch membership voted to accept the recommendation of the committee and suspend Sister Thompson from membership for, hold on, I got to go to the second page, but we already know it's for 6 years. For 6 years. All right, moving on. The Committee on Appeals, now this part's going to sound familiar. The Committee on Appeals is sensitive to the branch's frustration. To step out, I think Michael and I are also sensitive to the branch's frustration. And Michael and I are sensitive to this with each other, where, you know, we are of a mind to object, and we kind of have to stop each other sometimes to be like, dude, this ain't the fight to fight.
Right.
You know, like with our last election appeal. Ultimately, we made the decision, even though we felt that we still had valid complaints, it wasn't going to overturn the election, and there's no point in continuing it, and we dropped our appeals.
I don't know. There could have been, but...
Well, we dropped our appeals.
Yeah.
You know...
Yeah, because...
we don't want to be...
We don't want to be...
We don't want to be like Mark Thompson in our own branch.
Well, yeah, and we didn't want to look like a sore loser either.
Yeah, that too, right? Because that is definitely a narrative that
even though I think
is used when you file an election appeal. I know you think they were impropriety.
Yeah.
We wrote an appeal. Yeah. All right, so anyway... the record reveals that Sister Thompson has made a number of complaints against branch members and officers in connection with the conduct of the last branch election, and it appears that none of her complaints have been substantiated. Nevertheless, we have concluded that Sister Thompson's present appeal must be sustained. Going on. First, now they give their explanation. James Henry, chair of the committee, is giving his explanation. First, the charges against Sister Thompson are simply insufficient on their face, which is what got ruled for us as well. Article 10, oh, God damn it. Hold on. I just got a phone call. All right. Article 10 of the Constitution for the Government of Subordinate and Federal Branches authorizes the filing of charges against any member of the branch who shall violate the Constitution or bylaws of the association or branch. The charges in this case fail to meet this threshold requirement. They are based solely on statements made in a post-election appeal. God, just like her current one is based solely
on the appeal. So you mean they've gotten this before, so they should know this rule?
They should. They should. To allow for union discipline in this context would chill members from exercising their rights under the Constitution and NALC election regulations. Yeah, no shit. You know, the message, I can't believe we haven't said it yet. The message loud and clear is if you are in branch 70 and you think that there's a problem, sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up. Yep. Okay. So going on. Second, while the arguments in the appellant's election appeal may have been factually inaccurate, they were not personally defamatory. At most, the appeal alleged technical violations of the election rules. Raising such issues in a post-election appeal cannot be characterized as defamatory simply because the appeal was ultimately found to have been without merit. It's a total fucking repeat. All right, moving on. The conclusions here. The committee notes that in connection with her appeal, the appellant asks that she be credited for all branch and steward meetings that she would have attended but for her suspension. In addition, the appellant asks that she be credited for any missed meetings after March 9th, 2023, necessary for her to qualify to be a compensated delegate to the upcoming national convention. Finally, she asks that her postmaster be immediately informed of her reinstatement as elected shop steward. The committee agrees that the appellant should be credited for the missed meetings outlined above, and that the appellant's postmaster should be immediately informed of her reinstatement as shop steward. Therefore, it is the decision of the committee that this appeal must be, and hereby is, sustained. The suspension of the appellant is vacated, effective immediately. The appellant shall be restored to her position as steward and shall be credited with attending meetings as specified above.
Okay, so now she's credited to go to the convention, and because of what's happening now they're violating that rule because they suspended her for 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So they just violated that rule that James Henry made in 2025, or was it 2023?
2023.
Yeah, so it seems like they're the ones violating the rules and not Mari or Michael Rivera, okay? And you can see why the whole the media, like Facebook and whatever, why they're getting social media, why they're getting angry at CLC. Okay?
Right.
Because Ricardo is in the leadership of CLC because he's the chairman.
Right.
Okay. Now, I
want to quote from Badmouth
episode?
here. Yeah, we'll get into the implications for the CLC in the next episode.
I think on that stuff we'll go to the next episode.
Yeah. So I will say the short version of it here, and I'll get into my rationale in the next episode. I am currently a endorser of the CLC, and I will be staying an endorser of the CLC. I can think that Michael Rivera was done dirty, and I do think that Michael Rivera was done dirty, but I can still think at the same time that, that David Grosskopf is a better candidate than Charlie Heach. And both of those things can be true at the same time. And as far as standing up, I assume, I don't know, but I assume that there was a relationship back then between Ricardo Guzman and James Henry. And James Henry ruled on the side of Mari Thompson. And that is a credit to James Henry.
Yes.
And so we'll get into that in the next episode. But
just for everybody.
Yep.
Because this is how James Henry and Nicole Ryan and the other person.
Yeah, Larry Brown.
Larry Brown have decided this every time. I don't see why they would change.
Right. Why would the outcome be different in an identical situation?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the problem is, when are they going to settle it?
Yeah.
After the general convention?
That is a question. I know that Michael Rivera wrote in asking for an expedited appeal, and Renfro wrote back and said that I've passed your request on to the Committee on Appeals.
Right.
Who knows? But even then, the process is only now just getting started.
Right.
Like the deadline, we just now, maybe today, hit the deadline for the branch to reply to Rivera's appeal.
Yeah, they're going to make it last long as possible.
Yeah, that would not surprise me at all. In fact, from looking at presidential rulings, we know how the process can be abused, and we know that the process is being abused in Branch 70.
Yes.
And so, these are obviously causes for concern. So we're going to go over the implications of all of this in our next episode, which will probably release in 2 days, 2 or 3 days. Yeah, this is our report. These are our findings.
Yeah, our findings.
on what happened in Branch 70. Yeah.
Again, we did try to find the people who was doing the election committee to see if they can say anything that they believe, on their side. But nobody contacted us.
Yeah, that's right. We did reach out. Yeah. And going forward, if you want to come on and explain how our analysis of this is all full of shit, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Exactly.
I know George Elias was not shy about speaking on social media until a hard question came up, and then he got real quiet. He would say, well, you don't understand, Michael Rivera is a big jerk. And I'd say, well, you're an officer of the branch. What's your opinion on people's LMRDA rights? And he had no answer for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because anybody looks at the LMRDA right, freedom of speech.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So
I'm sorry.
do.
is a union built on freedom of speech?
That is a core component. Speech and assembly are like the core of what allows a union to exist.
And then when union is doing that,
yeah, I mean, that's the problem, right? To have somebody who's in leadership to undermine these core values of the union, it's the same problem in our own branch. Yeah, it's a problem.
Yes.
All right, so let's get on to the next episode. I got to take a break anyway.
Because then we can talk more about the CLC and our opinions more.
Right.
And
all right, everybody. So thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you all next time. Don't stop it yet. I got to do the outro music.
Sorry.
That's all right. I gotta stop the camera up here because it